The sixth house is a malefic house. The sixth house is bad. The sixth house is no fun. These are the takes I have been seeing on my timeline recently. And while they're like technically correct, I do want to offer a bit of like a different perspective on the sixth house and malefic placements in general. So I will first say this. When it comes to a malefic placement, whether it's a planet that's placed unfavorably, so if it's placed in a sign of its detriment or its fall, or if a person just has like a lot of placements in the so-called malefic houses, like the 6th, the 8th, the 12th house, these sorts of houses, I find that it really is a little bit of a skill issue. Now, what do I mean by this? Okay, so people that have a well integrated sense of identity, right? People that have accepted all the parts of themselves generally tend to have like an easier time managing these malefic placements. What I mean to say is that malefic placements really only suck a ton when you haven't done your shadow work, okay? Secondly, I will say that malefic placements, like a sixth house placement, for example, if you have something in the sixth house, that can really work to your advantage in some ways if you know what you're doing, right? So for me, I have a sixth house Neptune, right? So when I have to do chores, daily activities, when I have work to do, right? These are the things associated with the sixth house. I can tune into that Neptunian influence to kind of allow myself to be a bit more productive. So when I have to do chores around the house, or when I have to like get homework done or whatever, clean, I really like to listen to podcasts, or I listen to ASMR, or I listen to sound bowls, right? Neptune rules and like is associated with music and all of these sorts of liminal metaphysical things, right? So by tuning into those things, I can actually become more productive, right? Thirdly, I will say the sixth house specifically is a working house, okay? And if you have a sixth house placement that just so happens to be making an aspect to something in the 10th house or something over in the second house, that can actually be very beneficial, and that can actually work wonders for you, right? Because these houses, the second house, the sixth house, the 10th house, all have to do with like material abundance, the material world, like the work we do, the career that we do, right? So having a sixth house placement that's aspecting, connecting to those other houses can actually be a big plus in a lot of instances. The sixth house also has an affinity to Mercury and specifically the sign of Virgo. So Virgo is the sign of the harvest, right? So, I have trouble when people say, oh, that the sixth house is like inherently bad. It's like, yes, there's a lot of work that goes into it, but there's also a harvest that comes after all this work, right? So maybe just try to keep that in mind when you're thinking about the sixth house. Kind of the last point that I wanted to talk about, though, is, coming back full circle, right? You can be stuck in this mindset of, oh, like I was dealt the wrong cards, or, oh, this stuff sucks, like having these placements sucks, right? But there's this sort of constant like victim mentality in that, where it's like, okay, yeah, stuff sucks, so what are you gonna do about it? It's like, are you gonna do something about it, or are you just gonna complain about it? And the thing is, I think it's fine. I actually think it's fine for people to complain about it, but sometimes I wish people were just honest in that they like want to vent and they want to complain about things, right? But yeah, like, you need to take charge to a certain extent. Obviously, there are certain barriers when we're talking about just the way that our society is like messed up and stuff. Like, there are systemic things that are going to influence how you grow. But you do have a choice whether you grow or not, right? So maybe just some things to keep in mind. I say all this very lovingly. I also say this also as a bit of self-reflection too, because I feel like I can definitely get stuck in those habits and those patterns of thinking, oh, this isn't placed nicely, or this is forming a tense aspect here, this is a malefic house, all this stuff, right? So really try to make the most of your placements and work with what you got. There's kind of a saying that my astrology tutor says, and he says that everyone's chart is perfect for that person, right? So really keep that in mind, right? You were given this natal chart for a reason, and it really is the perfect chart for you. You just got to figure some stuff out.